What's going on, everybody? You know, I've been doing this new series that I'm calling Short-Winded. And, the first episode I had on Scott from Reindeer Studios, had a blast. And I got a little bit of feedback, and it was, hey, you should incorporate some questions to your guest. And I said, that's a great idea. So then on the second episode, I had on Iconic Al, great guest as well. And I asked him some questions, and we talked a little bit where I was kind of, inquiring about some things. And then people said, short-winded? Craig, that was 30 minutes. You're calling this short-winded, and it's 30 minutes. And I'm like, I know, but it's because I incorporated some questions to my guest and wanted to find out more about my guest. And I had a blast. So then... Then people started saying, you should call this medium-winded. Well, I'm never going to please everybody. There's no doubt for that. But I've got a great guest on today, and it's Shane from Shoebox Legends. He's got a great channel, and I really genuinely enjoy it. And I've been watching him for a little while. We've never spoken. We've emailed and we've text messaged. And all of that revolved around setting up this conversation today. So I'm really excited to get to know him. So yes, it might be medium-winded, but I'm going to absolutely ask him some questions at the beginning, kind of hear a little bit about his channel, hear about what kind of collector he is. I think you're really going to like him. And then we'll set the timer for 5 minutes, and we'll see how I do against the clock. I'm 1 for 1. The record right now is, no, I'm 1 and 1. I'm not 1 for 1. I'm 1 for 2. The first episode with Scott, I answered all the questions in my 5 minutes. My second episode with my buddy Al, I ran long. I did not make it within the timer. So I am 1 for 2. One time I got it in the timer, and one time I didn't. We will see where I am today. We're gonna go in. I'm gonna record this here in just a few minutes. So I'm excited. I hope you're excited. Now, last thing I'll say is this. What we've been doing is I've been trying to do this on Sundays, every other Sunday. Kind of have some regularity to it. But this weekend is Hobby Palooza. Hobby Palooza is 25 hours of sports card hobby talk this weekend. And remember, 6 p.m. on Sunday is going to be my hour with my buddy Darren from Return to Collecting. Remember, this is all going to be hosted, not on my channel, not on Darren's channel. It will be hosted on the For Collectors channel. So I don't want to put up videos against Hobby Palooza. I want everyone to hang out on Hobby Palooza. So I will not be posting any videos on Saturday or Sunday. So instead of having this episode show up on Sunday, which would be my new normal thing, it's going to post here today on Thursday. So short-winded, medium-winded, long-winded, whatever you want to call it, with Shane of Shoebox Legends on a Thursday, not on my regular Sunday, right now. All right, so just as I said, I am really excited for this. Shane from Shoebox Legends is on with me today. I've been watching his channel for a while. I genuinely enjoy his channel. There's something about your voice that it hits the right tone for me, and it's very soothing. And you've been doing these videos recently where you're in the backyard and you got the wrens and the birds chirping, and it's quite relaxing, and I love it. So welcome.
Well, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate you having me. Love your channel and sort of the community you're building here, and all the involvement that you get in your videos. I'm honored to be a guest. So.
Well, that is sweet. And, at the beginning of the year, I made this point of somebody a friend of mine, Theo Clemente Collector, said, you know, Greg, about a year ago, he goes, Greg, you're kind of a lone wolf. You kind of just do your own thing. And I was like, yeah, I should do less of just my own thing. And so at the start of the year, I'm like, I want to meet more people. I want to hang out with more people. I want to interact. Because every time I do this, I really, really enjoy it. Like I've been looking forward to this for a week since we set it up.
Same.
So yeah, so I'm pumped about this. Now, as you know, if you saw the previous 2 episodes, what we're going to do here is I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You are not on a clock. You can go as long as you want. I want you to go as long as you want. And then we'll put me on the clock because I'm the one who goes on and on, you know. And so we'll get to me next. So first, let me go ahead and share my screen here because I want to show you the questions that I'm going to be asking you. So let me go ahead and do that. Right. Here we go. So, you know, in watching your collection, you have in your videos, you have an extremely diverse collection, like as diverse as anybody that I've seen. No, seriously. I mean, I think even on your, I think you see, I'm already going long-winded, but I think on your description of your channel, you even say you have a shotgun approach at collecting.
That's it. That's it.
And so, because it's diverse, if you had to pick, we'll start with one sport. If you had to pick one sport, and you could even go non-sport, because the other day I was watching you were showing off some Ewoks, I think, Ewok autograph. So, but if you had one category to collect, what would that category be? And then if you had one player to collect, what player would it be?
So I think for category, this is not going to be probably a popular or a common answer, but I would go hockey, ice hockey, and it's really because I played hockey growing up. I learned to skate when I was like 6 years old. Played all the way through high school. Played men's intramural hockey after that, and anyone who's played that sport knows it's like a family sacrifice to become like a hockey family. I mean the hours, the late nights, the expense, everything associated with that. I had 2 younger brothers who played also. So growing up, like hockey was our lives. And so I think I would actually, if pressed, I would actually put hockey in front of baseball if I had to choose one of the 2 to collect. I probably share more baseball on my channel just because hockey doesn't tend to resonate as well or isn't as popular. But if I was pressed, I would go ice hockey.
Okay. And it's interesting because you do a lot on your channel of these. You have like this cheese box, and you do a rummage where you'll just grab a card and you'll pull it randomly out and you'll show it. And you do have a fair amount of hockey. And my initial instinct is, well, I don't really collect hockey cards, but you get into the stories of why you like that player and why you like that card. And I find myself even in some of the categories of the wide variety that you collect, I find myself really enjoying hearing you explain your passion for those types of cards too. So I really appreciate that. What about
that's like the ultimate compliment. I watch a lot of channels too where I don't necessarily collect the subject matter because I'm always trying to learn more about the hobby and learn more about sports, and I usually pick up something even in an area where I don't necessarily have interest. So I'm honored that you would say that. So
well, yeah. I mean, and I mean it. I mean, I don't fast forward through your stuff. Even, and the reason I bring this up is because somebody out there who's listening might go, well, I don't collect hockey, so I don't know if this is a. Trust me, subscribe to his channel. You will enjoy what he goes over. If you were to pick a player, now I'm assuming that since you're a hockey guy, then you might go down the hockey route. So let's just, for the sake of argument, outside of hockey, if you were to pick a player, what would be the one player you would go for?
Yes, actually, I'd go outside of hockey regardless, even if you hadn't given me that condition. And I think if I had to narrow it down to one, I might go with Hank Aaron. And the reason for that, first of all, he's boyhood hero, all the obvious reasons, one of the all-time greats. But One of the things that I like about collecting is the diversity of the different eras in collecting. And with a player like Hank Aaron, I love that I can collect vintage. You know, like I'm fortunate enough to have a Hank Aaron rookie card in my collection, but I can also collect a Hank Aaron card that came out a month ago, maybe a serial numbered parallel or something, scarce. So I'm never really done with that player collection. There's always new stuff coming out, more I could chase. And so I love the variety that's a superstar like that represents with having vintage cards and also having modern cards. I sort of collect each of those kind of equally. I probably show more modern cards on my channel, but I do have a lot of vintage as well. And so a player like that would be attractive to me because he'll really span all of those eras in collecting.
I think that is a fantastic answer. All right, let's go to the second one. I find myself wanting to do a couple of follow-ups, but then I'm going to step on the toes of some of my other questions. So here's my next one for you. In your videos, you show a lot of cards. When you started your channel, was there a channel that you kind of looked up to as a guide or like a role model channel or a model of what you kind of wanted your channel to be like? And if so, what was that channel?
Yeah, I think there's definitely one that sticks out to me in my mind above all the others, and it's a well-known channel. So it's Eric over at Those Back Pages. I had known Eric years back, so quick story, but I got on YouTube in 2021 and started my channel. But for about 13 years before that, I wrote a sports card blog, like on a weekly or multiple times a week basis. And there's a whole community of collectors who run sports card blogs, just like there is a community here on YouTube. And many years back, Eric was briefly in that community. He had a blog that I followed. And around the time of the pandemic, I got to wondering, like, I wonder whatever happened to Eric over the years or what he's up to these days. And I forget exactly how I tracked him down, but I found his YouTube channel, Those Back Pages. And I had, like most of us, a lot of free time during the pandemic and COVID,
Right.
a lot of downtime. And I would sit in bed at night and just kind of rip through all of his videos. I went all the way back to video number one, which was years back. And I just would watch them in sequential order, 4 or 5 a night while my wife was napping next to me or whatever. And it was a huge motivator to get me on the YouTube. I love his approach to the hobby. Very varied, like me. He's got cards that are over 100 years old and cards that came out a week ago. We cover a lot of the same subject areas. And he's all about knowledge and learning in the hobby, which is a big aspect for me as well. So I actually ended up reaching out to Eric and letting him know that I was considering, starting a channel and asking if he had any tips for me. He gave me some great advice. He even gave me a shout out early on to kind of send some people my way. And so I've definitely viewed him as kind of like a mentor or a role model in the hobby, so to speak. So he would be my choice.
Oh wow, that's awesome. I love the backstory on what you had to say there. All right, third
Thanks.
question for you. And you might have already just mentioned one of them, but let's just say aside from Those Back Pages now, since you definitely are on board with that channel, if you could only watch 2 YouTube channels moving forward, which 2 would you choose?
Okay, so obvious caveat here. I don't want to offend anybody. Tons of friends in the hobby. I try to spread myself out, to the extent that I can. But if I'm going to be, short-winded here, we'll go with Dylan, Double D Vintage Baseball Cards. We're close friends. We text just about every day, and I love the passion and enthusiasm that he brings to the hobby. Like, I just don't see anybody else get as excited as that guy does when he's looking at cards, and it reminds me of kind of what got me into the hobby to begin with as a kid. And sort of that excitement and almost like, I don't mean this in an offensive way, but almost like childlike innocence and excitement over the hobby. And I just eat that up. Like when I watch Dylan's video, it makes me want to collect and want to get out there and find new cards and learn about new things. So he would be one of the 2. And then another one, this is probably a lesser known choice, but a channel that I think is criminally undersubscribed to is Peeps, Peeps, like the Easter candy. Friend of mine, Josh, here on YouTube. And I guess the reason I would choose him on the list, similar to Eric at Those Back Pages, tremendous variety, great amount of knowledge, covers all sports, all eras. We share a lot in common in terms of the players we're interested in and kind of what we look for in cards and our unique take on the hobby. Just a lot of commonality there. He's also the only other YouTuber I think that I've met in person so far. The time that I've been on here, so I consider him a close friend. But Can't recommend his channel enough. So Peeps would be my second choice.
Oh, that's outstanding. See, part of this is selfish that I ask these questions because I want to add more to my list. So I appreciate that you mention him. Dylan and I we text quite a bit as well, so I'm quite familiar with Dylan. All right, next up. Now, I kind of look at myself, and I don't know if everyone's this way, but I think that a lot of us get kind of into little phases into what we collect. Like for a while, I was really into vintage football, and then vintage basketball, and then 1950s cards, and then maybe, Hank Aaron cards or Willie Mays cards, and it's always bouncing around. What phase would you say you're currently in that you're really excited to be in at the moment?
Sure. So this might be a little bit. I'll give kind of a two-part answer. As far as like a specific goal, I'm unfocused, like we talked about at the beginning of the episode. I have trouble focusing. So every calendar year, I try to find one general theme to kind of anchor my collecting. I know I'm going to stray from it all the time, but it's at least something that I can come back to or kind of rein myself in, like a guardrail of sorts. And so this year, what I chose back in December for 2024 was former Negro Leagues players. I just looked over my collection and I realized, while I had the obvious guys like Jackie Robinson, Willie Mays, Larry Doby, those types of players, there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of other significant players that participated in those leagues over the years who just weren't represented in some cases at all in my collection. So that's an avenue that I've been going down this year that I'm really excited about. I bought a Z Folio, like a 360 card Z Folio, and I'm just filling that up between now and December 31st with all different cards of former Negro League players, and that's been a lot of fun. So that's my current phase. But I agree with you. I'm very much a phases collector. I've done set building and team collecting and player collecting over the years. But in a more vague sense, Negro Leagues would be the specific focus. I'm more just into collecting individual cards that are significant to me for some reason now. The main reason I got turned off to set collecting and player runs and team collecting, I got turned off after years from just searching for cards just to check a box. Like I didn't want to have to buy 100 cards from the 1959 Topps baseball set of guys I'd never heard of from the high number series at, $10 a whack just to fill out my binder. So I've really worked, it's ironic to say because I don't do a very good job at it, but I've worked at kind of minimizing what I try to go after and just get fewer cards that are more significant or meaningful to me in some way. So I think the phase that I'm in right now is at least attempting to consolidate, not have so much volume around, but just have fewer, more meaningful cards. Fewer being a relative term.
Right. Yeah, I mean, as a subscriber of your channel who has been watching for a while, you have covered a lot of like bridge players specifically, both vintage cards of theirs and also some modern cards of theirs. Um, but being narrow, I mean, every time I turn on your channel, you showing more and more new stuff. I'm like, this is an unbelievable amount of consumption. I'm jealous of. And it was one of the questions that probably the next question that I was going to ask, and I won't ask it, but was how many cards do you think you buy a month? Because it's got to be a lot of cards because you're constantly getting new stuff and showing new cards that you picked up, which as a viewer is very fun to see all your stuff.
Yeah, I would say I probably get 50 cards a month on average.
Oh,
And I
wow.
only buy singles. I don't buy unopened product or rip product. I just buy the singles that I want for the collection. So, a card a day at least, I would say.
Wow. That's awesome. Now, and you're not going to the National, are you?
Unfortunately, I can't make it this year. I do want to make one because honestly, one of the best things, everybody says it because it's the truth, but one of the best things about being on YouTube is just the people. I've made so many friends now that I talk to literally on a daily basis that just make my hobby experience so much richer. And I know that getting to meet them all, yourself included, in person would just really take that to the next level. So I'm not going to make it this year, but hoping for 2025.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was at Strongsville this year and I met a lot of these guys for the first time, it was like an out of body experience. Like I knew who people were before I had even met them. It's like, oh, there's so and so, and it was pretty cool. So, all right, last question is, what is kind of your ultimate? And I know people hate it when you use the word grail. Every time I use it, I have at least 2 comments that say that term is overused. So, what is your ultimate kind of goal card or two that would be, your dream to obtain?
I would say, everybody's budget's different. For me, I don't buy a lot of like comma cards or over 1,000. I live in like the $20 to $50 range. That's kind of my sweet spot. So this might not be considered a grail for somebody with a bigger budget, but I think the two I would name would be the 52 Topps Jackie Robinson. I just love that. Obviously, just a hugely important figure in baseball history and fits with my current collecting focus on former Negro Leagues players. And I think that's a beautiful card with that bright red background. It's one I've always admired, and it's, achievable in my lifetime. Maybe it's not, like a 52 mantle level difficulty. So that one I would put on the list. And then the other one I'd put alongside it, I think, would be the 49 Bowman Satchel Paige. Huge fan of Satchel Paige. I've always loved that card. Never owned it. So those are two that I would love to cross off the list someday.
Yeah, those are very high on my list as well, and I don't know how realistic they are for me, but because I'm not a big budget guy either. But those are terrific picks.
For me, those would probably be trade up scenarios. I've had, that's the nice thing about accumulating the amount that I do here is after enough years in the hobby, sometimes you tire of things that still have value. So I've done it in the past where I've, sold maybe 3 or 4 dozen cards over a period of months and just rolled all that money together and gone and got that one big card with the proceeds. So that would probably be how I'd go about it with those two.
Yeah, I've done a fair amount of that this year myself too, is just kind of consolidating some of my smaller cards into some bigger cards that I otherwise wouldn't be able to consider. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so what we're going to do now here in just a second is we will put a 5-minute timer on the clock, and you've got 20 questions lined up for me. And in those 20 questions, my attempt is to get them all done in 5 minutes. Now, I realize that may or may not be doable for me because of my lack of self-control, but it will be an entertaining experiment along the way. I get excited about just hearing what you're asking me. Like, part of me is enjoying what you thought to ask me is fun for me, and then responding is with brevity is difficult, but is enjoyable. So, yeah. So if we don't finish when we get to the 5-minute mark, we'll stop. We'll see where we are, and then we'll go from there. So with that said, let's go ahead and put 5 minutes on the clock, and you can go ahead and begin now.
All right. You are building a team from across baseball history, a fantasy team. Who is your leadoff hitter?
Ricky Henderson.
Great answer. Favorite pizza? I didn't hear anyone ask you that yet.
Well, out in the West Coast, we have a place called Round Table. I love Round Table Maui Zowie.
Awesome. If you were forced to collect one sport other than baseball, and you could only collect that sport going forward, what would you choose?
I'd choose football.
What's your favorite place that you've ever traveled to?
I haven't traveled to that many places. I mean, it's hard to not pick Hawaii, and in Hawaii, I'm going to go with the island of Kauai. Is probably close to paradise. Yeah.
Great answer. If you could change to any profession of your choice starting tomorrow, and finish out your working career in that profession, and be instantly proficient at it, what would it be?
Oh man, that is a really good and tough question. Growing up, honestly, this is going to sound insane to some people, and to other people it won't sound insane. I wanted to be a mailman because I could be outside, I could get exercise, I could have fresh air, I could be left alone. I don't have people looking over my shoulder, and in a lot of ways, a big part of me is still envious of all of those things. So that's as short as I could answer that. So I'm going to say mail carrier.
That is a scary answer because I would have answered it the exact same way. I've
Oh,
told
wow.
friends that over time that, yeah, walking mail route is where it's at. So
it is where it's at.
Next question. Did you play any sports growing up? And if so, until what age or for how long?
Yeah, so I played basketball, soccer, baseball, all of those until about 14. Soccer, I continued a little longer into high school. I played club soccer to the end of high school. And then I played golf growing up. I played junior golf from about 13 to about 17. And I played high school on the high school golf team as well. And then I played some adult league stuff when I was younger. But I played, those are basically the sports that I played.
Love it. Name a movie that you can rewatch without getting tired of.
The movie I've probably watched the most is Christmas Vacation. Awesome. And I can't get all the, although I do got to give a shout out to my friend as well, which this would be on the short list, is The Jerk.
Awesome. This is a tough one. Should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame? Yes or no?
Yes.
Ballpark guess. How many total cards would you say you have in your collection present day, roughly?
Does that include like boxes with some commons and stuff in it, or like cards that I will ever look at? Because okay, I'm already going. I'm going too long. I'm gonna say 400.
Pretty low.
Yeah, pretty low.
If you could master one new skill instantly, what would it be?
Banjo.
Love it. All right, this is kind of a two-parter. The next two questions kind of go together here, two sides of the coin. Do you have a favorite design from the Topps, what's known as like the classic vintage era, say 1952 to 1980?
Yeah, I think I'm going to say 1954 Topps. Yeah.
Great choice. And then on the flip side, is there a particular design you really dislike or that would be your least favorite from that same era?
Oh, man, I might get some hate for this. I'm going to say 66 Topps.
I would have answered the exact same there too. Love it. Name a hobby pet peeve that you have.
A hobby pet peeve would be not putting prices on cards at card shows.
I like it. At what age approximately does midlife start?
I'm going to say 35.
All right. Name a sports moment, if you can think of one, that you witnessed either in person or on TV that is kind of ingrained in your memory that you'll always remember.
I have to give two, and I'm going to go way over on time, and I know I have 5 seconds left. So let me answer it, and then we'll see where we're at. I was at two things. I was at the Jeter flip play game against the Oakland A's with my dad in the upper deck, looking right down the first baseline. We saw the whole thing unfold, him streak across. We saw the tag. I mean, we had the perfect angle up the right field line. Saw it in person. Literally, it just gave me the chills just thinking about it. The other one is when Tiger made the curling putt to tie Rocco Mediate on the 18th hole, on the 72nd hole of the tournament. I was in the grandstands on the 18th hole with my wife on Father's Day when he did the double fist pump. I still have the ticket right there, but my eyes watched the entire putt, him walk up, limping up. We watched that with our eyes. So those are two unbelievable events. And I went over by a minute. Just that was a minute answer, but I couldn't be brief there.
Even if it caused us to fail, I'm glad I asked that question. Because,
yes.
Yeah, that was an epic answer.
So that was 5/6 minutes. So how many questions do we have left?
We got through 15. We got 5 left. They're pretty short, or I can do 2 of them.
No, we'll do all 5 of them for sure.
All right.
So I'll continue to go as fast as I can. If there's 5 of them, I'm just gonna do my best. So go ahead, go.
All right. True or false? You're a lifelong Yankees fan who now also secretly roots for the Mets.
False. That is. Oh well, let me pull that back. Uh, I have a really good friend who loves the Mets so much that I can genuinely say that starting this year, I check the box scores each night and hope that the Mets win because I know it brings him joy. That's a true story. So I'm not a Mets fan, but I do root for the Mets because I care about that person. So
That question may or may not have been supplied by that friend.
got it. Go ahead.
Is there a 21st century card you'd like to add to your collection? A modern card?
Yes. There's I can't remember the year. I have one of them, but there's a Derek Jeter Topps card where it's got Mantle in the dugout and George W. Bush in the stands airbrushed in.
Yep.
And I have the base copy of it. I want the gold out of 2004, whatever it is. I want the numbered version of it is the one that immediately comes to mind.
Excellent answer. If you could interview one athlete from across history on midlife sports cards on your channel, living or not, who would it be?
It's going to be such a cliche answer, but I think that I have to say Jackie Robinson because I would be so interested in what he went through from his perspective and hearing how he handled that and who he leaned on to get through that, I think would be extremely interesting. So I know that's probably a lame answer to a lot of people, but that's my answer.
Fantastic. Name a top 5 music album of all time that you enjoy, or a favorite music album.
Oh man, I'm going to go back and forth. I've got 2, so I'm going to say Pearl Jam, No Code, and I'm going to say Weezer, the Blue Album.
I'm just going to say it's scary how much we have in common
going
through this list.
Wow.
All right, this is my last question. This is my favorite one. Tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up with one of these 2 physical traits, and you're going to be stuck with it for a month before it goes away, and you have to go about your everyday life. You have to choose between Don Mossie's ears or Wally Moon's unibrow.
Well, some people have already teased me that I have Don Mossie's ears, so I don't know if I would have much change in my life. So I'm going to go with Don Mossie.
Good answer. Yeah.
I think the other one, people would look at it and go, "Why don't you just fix that? That would be easy to fix."
There's a heavy unibrow prejudice these days.
Yeah, so, because it's such an easy thing to fix. But yes, I would go with the ears. So great question. That was fun. I didn't even come close on time. I went 9 minutes and 30 seconds, almost double my time. My light just went out on me. I don't even know what's happening here. I don't know. Maybe the light bulb just burned out. So
I could have predicted coming into this that we probably would have done the worst of any of the 3 people so far because I'm incredibly long-winded. So 9 minutes and 30 seconds isn't half bad.
Hey, one of the things I've said from the very beginning of my channel is I'm just me. I am who I am. I'm not going to ever pretend to be something else. And people are either going to like me, which is nice, or not like me, which I don't blame them for. And if they don't like me and they don't want to tune in, I totally get it. But, I do my videos with my buddy Darren, a couple times a month. And we say all the time, even if nobody else views this, we're still going to keep doing it because it's so much fun. So you can say a lot about me, but you can't say I'm not authentic. I am who I am, and that's just how it is.
Love it.
Well, that is so. Pearl Jam, No Code. That one got you, huh?
I have probably seen them 30 times in concerts, going all the way back to the late 90s. Yeah, one of my favorite bands ever. So, and that's my favorite album they've ever done. So
it's not. Answer. Yeah, it's not. See, I've not seen them live. I'm actually not a concert attendee. That's not my thing. There's just too many people there.
Question for you. Do you have any Pearl Jam cards? Because if not, I'm going to send you some.
Oh, wow. I don't want to put you out, but I don't have any Pearl Jam cards. Yeah, as a kid, I listened to a lot of Pearl Jam in my little pickup truck driving around town, and I listened to a lot of Weezer. Those were my two main bands. And then Radiohead. I don't know if you like Radiohead.
Oh,
but
man. Yeah, another one that's up there.
Radiohead I actually have seen in person. Weezer I've actually seen in person twice. I just don't want to shell out big money. That's the other thing too. Is there's a lot of people at concerts and they've gotten really expensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when Pearl Jam in recent years, when they've got into playing the ballparks in their recent tours, they've put out trading card sets with the band members and stuff. So I'll send you some after this. So you can have some randomness from my collection.
Oh, that would be outstanding. I know that Ryan Nolan from Breakout Cards, he's a big music guy and he's always going to concerts and stuff. So
good deal.
All right. Well, Shane, that was a blast. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Anybody out there, again, whenever I recommend a channel, whenever I suggest a channel, I'm not being nice. I'm saying it because it's a channel that I watch, I genuinely enjoy. You are absolutely, when I see one of your new videos pop up, it is I watch it that day. It's not one of these I put it on the back burner kind of thing. Like, genuinely enjoy your channel, your back patio, out in nature with the birds and the little. I think there was a squirrel or something ran by the other day. Fantastic. So genuinely, thank you for making time for me today and coming on. And I look forward to maybe additional collaborations in the future and continuing our friendship. So with that said, is there anything you want to say or pitch or promote or talk about before we go?
No, I really appreciate you having me on. Love your channel, and I love everything you're doing here in the community, like I said at the beginning of the video, and really appreciate all the kind words and looking forward to a lot of future conversations around this great hobby.
Awesome. Thank you, Shane. All right, guys, check him out. It's Shane at Shoebox Legends. I'll have information and links down below. Check him out. And again, this one is on a Thursday. They normally post on Sundays when I do these quote unquote short-winded episodes. But I had to go Thursday this week because Hobbypalooza is this weekend. So I'm not posting anything this weekend. Go hang out over there on the For Collectors channel. I will talk to you guys soon.
Take care.